Hello and welcome to Quantum Movement. My name is Dr. Rima Benario and I am the co-founder of the Q Effect and the co-creator of the Q process. We are delighted to bring you Quantum Movement, the fusing of Qigong moves and energy work with the Q process, a cognitive-based discovery process that helps you to release blocks to your magnificence. Quantum Movement was developed by Dr. Jeff Tarrant. Jeff is a licensed psychologist and Qigong instructor. He is certified in energy psychology and neurofeedback. He's also certified to teach the Q process. And we are delighted to bring you this presentation today in a way to take your practice deeper than ever before. Well, welcome, Jeff. It's great to have you here. We're excited about putting this video production together. And what we wanted to do now was just have a little conversation about how quantum movement came about, what it was when you became a Q process facilitator that really spoke to you about that practice and the practice of Qigong, and melding the two together with quantum movement. So will you tell us a little bit about what inspired you and how you see these two practices working together?
So one of the things that I recognized from my personal Qigong practice was the ways that some of the emotional or psychological work that I was doing from the Q process was also showing up in my body and showing up energetically through my Qigong exercises. And so the combination of the two was a very natural and organic process that it just seemed to emerge. And so then over time I gradually started tying them together in a very intentional way rather than just sort of noticing how there were similarities or how they overlapped, but intentionally started putting the pieces together.
So one of the things we talked about in our training class was how we wanted to be able to create a more body-based approach to healing. The Q process itself is very cognitive. It's a reflective process where you are actually working through step-by-step process on a worksheet that guides you to uncover what it is that's created the triggering situation and what the blocks are, and then to move into a place of release and to be able to transform your experience with something brand new. And the Q movement piece is a way to take that more fully into the body. So can you talk a little bit about how the energetics of Qigong and quantum movement actually allow us to more fully release those things?
So the energetic component of Qigong is, I think, really what helped me see how the two work together in a really powerful way. There are, in most Qigong systems, you're dealing with three primary energy centers in the body. And we'll talk more about that later. But each of these, in Qigong, they're referred to as dantians. In the quantum movement process, I just refer to them as energy centers. And each of those centers really corresponds to different emotional work and psychological development for the individual. And so, again, in a normal Qigong process, while you may not be intentionally focused on some of those things, you are working with releasing some old issues, some unresolved kinds of concerns from a very body-based, energetic-based kind of process. But what doesn't normally happen in a lot of Qigong exercises is the sort of conscious intention of releasing some of these things, which is what the Q process really brings and adds a whole other dimension. And so really by combining those two and bringing the conscious aspects and the intention with the body and the energetic process, really fully being able to engage with that energy system and release some of those old blockages.
So do you have to be experienced with Qigong to do these moves, or with the Q process to do these moves, or is this a practice, the quantum movement practice, is this something that even a beginner can start with?
Yeah, and that's a great question. It is something that a beginner can start with. I've been working with this system for a while now and trying to simplify it in such a way that it's elegant and simple at the same time. It's an easy system to learn. You don't have to necessarily know the Q process or have been working with the Q process, although that adds a tremendous amount of energy and power to the exercises, but it's not necessary.
Well, welcome to our Q movement class. We are so excited to have you here to experience quantum movement and what this is all about. You are going to have a wonderful time today with Dr. Jeff Tarrant, who is going to be teaching this class. He is a licensed psychologist and he is a certified in energy psychology as well as in biofeedback. He is also trained to do the Q process as a Q process facilitator. And in addition to that, of course, he is a Qigong instructor. So what I want to do today is tell you a little bit about the Q process before we begin. My name is Dr. Rima Benario, and I am the co-founder of the Q Effect and the co-creator of the Q process. And we are teaching Q movement today as an extension of the Q process. The Q process itself is a 21-day practice that uses a very clear and structured reflection tool, set a series of worksheets that you do one each day for 21 days. And the purpose of doing these worksheets is to really give you an opportunity to check into your own reactionary processes and your own way of relating to the world, and give yourself a chance to slow down your experience so that you can discover what pieces of your life and how you are reacting are continuing to work for you and which ones are no longer working for you, and then give you the opportunity, should you desire, to make a change to those experiences and to the way you're relating. The worksheets themselves actually follow a very succinct process. We start by uncovering the data or the content of what's happened in a particular situation, whether it's something that's triggered us with somebody outside of ourselves, a conflict we've had with a friend or a coworker or a child or a spouse. We can also look in the second week of the Q process, we look at triggers we have from within. When we notice ourselves being unkind to ourselves and that negative self-talk that can happen sometimes. And then the third week, we actually focus on looking at triggers from our past. Maybe we have memories of a time from our childhood when something was traumatic or difficult or challenging for us, and we want to work with that memory. The second step in the Q process is to actually then listen to the inner wisdom of our heart and discover underneath that trigger, what is the myth, message, or belief that we have that's unconsciously activated by that trigger? And take a little time to tease that out and figure out what might be running behind the scenes, kind of like an operating system does in a computer. And a lot of times people find that to be very revealing. They had no idea that this idea or this message from it was operating in their unconscious self. And we invite you in step 2 to really take some time to be compassionate with yourself when you have that opportunity to reflect on that message. Sometimes it's very uncomfortable or difficult to hear that message when it comes up, to see it on the worksheet. So we take a little time to be compassionate with ourselves. And then in step 3, we work on being grateful for the opportunity to see this pattern so that we can begin shifting it. And we just take some time to be in a moment of gratitude and write a gratitude statement. And then we follow up by trying to ascertain or discover what is the unmet need that's been happening, that's really trying to get our attention. And that's the place where we have a point of power, where we can actually look at the unmet need and address it, and then create a new outcome so that our initial response doesn't have to be the one that we're stuck with if it's not what we would prefer. And the last step is sometimes, I think, the most important step in the process, because it's about actually then making it real, making that change real, by taking what we call an authentic action that helps you to ground in that new experience so that you are actually giving yourself whatever it was that unmet need was. So you are meeting that need for yourself and no longer in a place of needing something, but then being fulfilled by taking that action and Sometimes those actions can be a little bit scary to take, or a little bit feel a little bit uncomfortable, and that's because we're stretching into new territory and we're doing something that we don't normally do, but that's what makes it new and real for us. So those 5 steps are the primary steps of the first 2 weeks. The third week has a little bit more involved with it, but it is a full healing process that takes us from a point of activation through inquiry into compassion, gratitude, understanding the unmet need, and then meeting the need. And it is that cycle of transformation that we find really provides a way for people to release that old material and step into a new way of being. So the exciting piece that we're going to do today is look at a set of movements based on the energy practice of Qigong that matches each of those steps. And Dr. Jeff Tarrant is going to take us through those steps, and we're going to have a chance to see how we can use our body to move through that transformational process and actually release that energy today. You don't have to have any experience with the Q process or the Q effect or any experience with Qigong at all to make use of this material that you're going to learn today. All right, so let's get started with what Dr. Jeff has to teach us today.
Okay, great. So as Rima said, thank you for being here. And what I wanted to do at the beginning before we actually get directly into the Q movement process itself is just to explain a few basic concepts that may be important to understand in terms of the underlying foundations of what it is that we're doing or how this works, how the Q movement process works. And it's not necessary to know this information, but I think it's helpful to sort of understand as an underlying basis for kind of what's happening. So the quantum movement set of exercises that we're going to be doing in a few moments, it can be thought of as Qigong, but it's a little bit different. It can also be thought of as an energy psychology set of exercises. And so one of the things that's important in terms of understanding that and thinking about that is some of the shared concepts that exist between any kind of energy healing, because really that's what we're getting involved in is some energy healing. And when we start thinking like that, we start talking about a more subtle aspect to our being. So of course we have our physical being, but then there's an energetic aspect, a more subtle aspect. And so of course in Indian traditions, in yogic traditions, they talk about the chakra system, or chakra system. And in Qigong we talk about meridians and the dantians and other different kinds of elements of how energy moves through the body. So this is important for us to kind of consider for the quantum movement process. There's really 3 energy centers that we're going to be focusing on, and they do correspond to the 3 dantians in traditional Qigong practices. There's the lower dantian, or what I refer to as the navel center, which is located just below the navel in the center of the body. And one of the things that's really important to understand and to consider with this is that it's not a physical thing. It's not a physical organ. It's not something you can hold on to or take a picture of. It's something you feel. It's something you have to sense. And so when we give instructions or you read instructions about where it is located, those are guideposts. Everybody has to sort of feel it and find it for themselves. This is one reason that later I'll be emphasizing being relaxed. The more relaxed that you are in this process, the easier it is to tune into more subtle feelings, more subtle sensations of what's happening in the body and what the energy is doing. So the navel center is kind of our basic energy. It's our ground energy. And so what this relates to are things like our connection to the earth, our physical bodies, our physical health, feelings of safety and security. So this is where it starts to tie into the Q process when we start thinking about some of those unmet needs that maybe people work on in the Q process, feeling unsafe. that is often tied to this navel center. It's very basic. The heart center is the second center that we work with. And again, it's not located generally in the same area as the physical heart. It's in the center of the body, usually right in the chest region. And this is a very intuitive place. People know where the heart center is. You don't have to usually tell people. We can find this very easily. And if you think back to times when you've had a strong emotional reaction, maybe brought your hands to your chest, it's like we know where that center is. We can feel it. We can tune into that. Or times where we've experienced heartbreak or heartache, that's where we feel it. We feel it. We don't feel it in the physical heart. We feel it in the heart center. And so this energy area really corresponds to our ability to love and our ability to connect with others and relationships. And so, of course, again, thinking about the Q process and some of the ways that they connect, how many times we have all been injured just through our lives, through relationships with others. Things didn't go our way, or we felt betrayed, or we lost someone, or we lost a relationship. Those things show up in the heart center. And then the third center that we focus on is the head center. And again, it's not a physical location. Think of it as in the center of the brain, approximately where the pineal gland is. So if you drew a line from where the third eye is often talked about being, in the center of the forehead, drew a line from there straight back, and then drop down from the crown of the head, where those two lines intersect, is about where the head center is. Sometimes this is a little bit harder to feel and to sort of find, by sensing. Now this is our sort of highest energy center. And so this corresponds to our connection to something greater, to spirit or God or creator or whatever that might be. So that's our connection to something, a higher purpose, our highest selves. It's our connection to creative thinking, to our wisdom, to our intuition. So these are the three centers that we focus on in the quantum movement process. And what we'll be doing, very basically, is working to cleanse the areas, so removing any toxic or stale energy that may have accumulated there, that does accumulate there, and then replacing that with something that's more healing, something that's more positive, more life-affirming. Now, we're going to be doing this through a series of different exercises. There's a couple of different ways to approach this, and one is to just go through the set of exercises the way that I'm going to teach today, without any sort of setup, without tuning into anything specifically. It could just be your morning exercise. Get up, do the set of exercises just the way we're going to teach it, and that's beautiful and perfect all by itself. There are other ways that you can work with these exercises by specifically checking in with some of the work that you may have been doing with the Q process itself and some of those worksheets. There are themes that tend to come up over and over and over again if you work this process. And so you may use one of those as your guide for what it is that you want to work on the specific set of exercises. So what I'm going to teach today is sort of more of a generic way to work with this process, but you can individualize it in many, many ways. And one of the things that will be included with the DVD program with this is an ability to download a booklet that talks about some of the ways that you might individualize the process. So when we begin today, you may even check in with yourself and just notice, are there particular things that you would like to work on? And you may know. And you probably already know. And if there's not, that's okay. Then you can just go through the exercises and just work through each area, allowing whatever happens to happen spontaneously. There's a couple of helpful hints that I wanted to cover before we get into the exercises themselves. And when I say helpful hints, they're things that facilitate the process. And one of them I already mentioned, which is staying relaxed, keeping the body physically relaxed. The more that you can do that, the easier it is for energy to flow through the body. When we hold tension in the body, when we straighten the arms to the point where there's no relaxation or where the joints don't have any flexibility, the energy gets locked. So one of the things and I'll be reminding you throughout the exercises to just check in with places where you're holding or gripping or noticing tension and inviting those areas to gently release and let go. the energy flows easier, and it facilitates a process of being open. Being open for things that we no longer need or don't serve us to leave, and to stay open for things that we would like to bring in to be welcome. So that's a very important piece of this process, is staying relaxed. And I will remind you throughout this. So there are chairs out here for a good reason, because with the entire set is typically done standing. And that can be tiring, particularly if you're not used to standing in this particular way. And we'll talk about how to stand exactly. But it can wear the legs out fairly quickly if you're not used to this. And so, as I was just saying, it's important to stay relaxed. And so if you start noticing that you're uncomfortable and you can't relax, there's a point where the muscles tighten and you can't let it go anymore. And when that happens, it's important to just sit down. So you're listening to yourself, you're respecting your body, and taking time to sit down. You can do the exercises from a seated position, and that is totally fine. So I'm inviting you now that whenever you feel that, have a seat. And then if you feel like standing back up for a later exercise, you can do that. There's no rules. Well, there's some rules, basic rules. But this gets to the other part that I really want to emphasize, which is listening to yourself. And now when you're learning this for the first time, it's a little bit harder to do that because you're trying to listen to my instructions and follow along and get everything just right. But if you choose to work with this process in more depth or on a more regular basis with yourself, it's really important to tune into what you need in that particular moment. So it might be that you really only need to focus on a couple of the exercises. You don't need to do all 6. That's fine. You can do that. Or it may be that you need to change some of the languaging that you're using with yourself, because we'll be using some affirmations. And so the affirmation that you use today may not be the same affirmation you use tomorrow. The things that I say today in the class may not be the exact wording for you. So allowing yourself to sort of find the wording that fits best for you. We're all different. We all have different needs. And so really kind of listening to that, tuning into that, and honoring that. Okay, so to begin with the set of exercises, the first thing that I want to talk about is our standing posture. There are some specific ways and some specific instructions for how to stand, and really what those are geared to do is facilitate alignment. So we talked about the 3 energy centers. The other piece that's important here is that those energy centers are connected to each other by a line of energy that runs from the crown of the head straight through the center of the body and out the bottom of the trunk down through the perineums. This also connects us to the earth and connects us to the heavens. So this is a larger energy channel that's connecting lots of kinds of energy, but running right through the center of us. And by standing in a specific way, we can keep that energy channel in alignment, and the energy runs much more smoothly. So I'm going to begin with the feet. So we're going to try to get the feet to be about shoulder width apart, toes pointing forward, and then sink the energy down from the top of the body. It's as if you're dropping the energy, sinking, 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 so that the feet become very heavy and planted and rooted. You can imagine that you're a tree and you have roots extending out from the bottom of your feet deep into the earth, keeping you grounded and stable. The upper part of the body is free to blow in the breeze and move very gently. Now moving up the body, maintaining that grounded sensation, keeping the knees slightly bent. Again, we don't want to lock any joints because we want to keep the energy flowing freely. And then coming up through the body, releasing any tension in the backs of the legs, and then relaxing the tailbone, sinking the tailbone down to the earth as if you're just starting to sit into a chair. Keeping the spine straight, the shoulders are dropped. There's a slight gap in between in the armpits. Each joint, the elbow, the wrist, the fingers, are all open and slightly bent. So maintaining this, but also in a relaxed posture. So noticing if there are ways that you're kind of forcing it and just sinking into the posture so that you're not trying to create something, you're just allowing it to gently unfold. And then the eyes can be closed, or you can have a soft gaze, keeping the breathing soft and gentle in the abdomen. Good. This is our basic stance, and we'll be coming back to this periodically. Now, maintaining this grounded, relaxed posture, gently bring the palms of the hands up, palms down about belt height, hands facing the earth. And we're just going to maintain this posture for a minute, keeping the arms and the shoulders relaxed and tuning in to the energy of the earth. And imagine that the energy of the earth is rising up from the earth as steam rises through the soles of the feet, through the palms of the hand, filling the entire body, bringing with it a sense of stability and balance and groundedness. So tuning into that sensation, see if you can feel that sensation. Good, and gently rotating the palms so that now the palms are facing up. Keeping the connection with the earth, keeping the energy sunk into the feet, but now tuning into the energy of the heavens and imagining that the energy of the heavens is raining down over the outside of the body, moving through the crown of the head, moving through the palms of the hands, filling the body, bringing with it clear vision, connection to something greater. Tune into that feeling. Allow it to permeate every cell of the body. Good, and now gradually bring the hands in front of the chest as if the palms are facing the heart, the hug the tree position. Keep the elbows down, keep the shoulders down. Everything is relaxed, as if the hands are being supported on their own. You don't have to hold them up. And now tuning into the energy of the earth and the energies of the heaven, moving down into the body and meeting in the heart center. Good, and now allow the arms to gently float down. And then pause with the arms at the sides. In between each exercise, we want to pause and be mindful and tune in and acknowledge anything that has shifted or changed as the result of that exercise. Noticing any places in the body where there's tension and inviting that to release. And relax. And so now if you need to move just a little bit, kind of walk back and forth for just a moment, release some of the tension in the legs that accumulates. That exercise was the opening. So at the opening and close of this set of exercises, there's a short kind of standing meditation, tuning us into the bigger energies that we're going to be working with for the rest of the healing process. Okay, good. So now let's move into the second exercise. This one is the cleansing exercise. So before we can bring in fresh healing energy, we need to let go of any toxic or stale energy that we might be holding on to. So the focus is going to be on those three energy centers, the navel center, the heart center, and the head center. So first, let's begin by finding your basic stance. So as a quick reminder, feet are shoulder width apart, toes pointing forward. Slightly bend the knees. Drop the tailbone as if you're just beginning to sit into a chair. Shoulders are relaxed. Everything is open and gentle. Breathing is soft and natural in the lower abdomen. And now bring the hands up into the middle of the torso and just pause here for just a moment and mentally connecting with that navel center. Can you tune into the energy of the navel center? And then gently moving the hands down the front, sweeping and scanning that center, removing any toxic or stale energy, sending it down through the feet, down deep into the earth. And we're going to repeat this several times, bringing the hands back up, connecting, tuning in, removing any tension in the body. Notice tension in the belly, in the hips, in the organs. Relax, relax, relax. Sinking and removing any toxic or stale energy. One more time. Good. Pause for just a moment. And now we're going to move to the heart center. So bringing the hands up to the top of the chest. And again, pausing and checking in, tuning into the energy of the heart. Noticing tension, and then gradually bringing the hands down, scanning and sweeping, removing any toxic or stale energy down past the navel center, through the legs, through the feet. And repeat several times. Again, letting go of any tension in the body, tension in the chest, noticing tension in the lungs, in the heart, any constrictions. Can you let that go? Let the breathing be more relaxed and open. One more time. Good, and then let the hands come down to the side, pausing just for a moment. And then now moving up to the head center. So coming up just above the head, connecting to the center of the head. Tuning in, scanning the body, releasing any toxic or stale energy, moving it down, past the heart center, past the navel center, through the legs, through the feet, deep into the earth, to be recycled and transmuted. Continue sweeping and scanning, releasing tension in the scalp, in the face, around the eyes, around the jaw. Release tension in the brain. And this would be a good time to intentionally add a very slight grin and notice if that doesn't help relax the face. One more scan. And allow the hands to come to the sides. Pause for a moment. Tune in and just notice. Notice the impact of cleansing. Check in with the body, the breath, the mind. And relax. If you need to move the feet just a little bit. And don't forget, if you need to sit at any point, that's totally fine. Good. Okay, now that we've cleansed, so we've connected with the healing energy, we've cleansed the 3 areas, now we're going to begin focusing on bringing in healing and positive energy into each of those centers. So we'll start by finding our basic stance again. So sinking the energy down into the feet, being relaxed, keeping everything open and gentle and soft. Check in on your breathing, make sure that that is relaxed. And for this exercise, we're going to begin again with the navel center. We always begin with the navel center. It's our most basic and primary energy center. We're going to bend forward just slightly, reaching out, gathering the energy, bring it in as we come back to a neutral position, bringing the energy into the navel center, keeping the navel center relaxed and open so it can receive, and just reaching out, gathering, bringing it in, and adding an affirmation that fits for this center. The one that I often use is, I am safe. So you may pick an affirmation, you may use, I am safe, I am secure, I'm grounded, I'm balanced. Gathering the energy, sensing those feelings and bringing it in. I am safe. One more time. Good, and now keep the hands there just for a moment. Really tune into that navel center and the energy that we just moved in. Connect with it fully. And then when you're ready, allow the hands to float down to the sides. And now we'll repeat this with the heart center. So gathering, bending forward, bringing the energy into the heart. And again, finding an affirmation that fits for this area as we continue the exercise. I am loved. I love. I am connected to others. Gathering the energy, finding your own pace that fits for you. Bringing the energy into the heart. And one more, and then really just holding the energy there for a moment. Tuning into the heart center. Can you feel it? Can you tune into the feeling, the sensations, but also the emotional feeling? And when it feels right, allow the hands to float down to the sides. And now bringing energy into the head center, gathering the energy and bringing it in. Keeping open and relaxed, being receptive. And again, finding an affirmation that fits for you. I trust. I am connected to something greater. I live my wisdom. One more time, gathering the energy, bringing it into the head center, and then holding it there for a minute, really tuning in. ready, allowing the hands to float down. Again, pause for a moment. This is the moment to check in and be mindful. Relax the body, any places that perhaps you've started to grip or hold again. Noticing how those energy centers feel. And relax. If you need to move the feet. Everybody doing okay? Okay. Yeah, that happens. You might get some juice in your hands. That happens. That's a good sign. That's the energy. You know, you could argue that it's blood flow, but guess what? Blood flow is a part of our energy. And one of the basic functions of our chi is to work with the blood. So sometimes when we get those sensations, it's the chi and the blood working together. Okay, the next exercise, we're going to work with this energy that exercise was called planting the seeds. The next one is growing. So we're going to expand that energy and continue to work with it a little bit more. So we're going to find our basic stance again. Sink the energy, relax the body. Notice the places you've probably started to find where you tend to hold tension. So go there and see if you can release. And now bringing the hands up just in front of the navel center, as if you're holding a ball of energy between the palms. And connect that energy with the energy of the navel center. So you're feeling both at the same time. They're connected. And as we inhale, we're going to expand and grow the energy. And as we exhale, we're going to bring it in and contract. So this is exercising that navel center, expanding the energy, bringing it out past the body. The energy is not contained by our physical body. Following the breath, inhaling, exhaling, bringing it in. And you might continue using an affirmation that you found helpful for this center. I am safe and secure. One more time, and then we're going to pause in front of the navel center. Again, just tuning in and being intentional about our shift. And when it feels right, you can allow the hands to move up from the navel center to the heart center. Pausing in front of the chest, and again, connecting the energy between the palms with the energy in the center of the chest, the heart center. And again, inhaling, opening and expanding, exhaling, contracting, growing this energy. Allow it to move out as far as feels comfortable. I am loved. One more. And again, pause in front of the heart center. Acknowledging, smiling down to the heart center. And when it feels right, allowing the hands to float up in front of the head center. Connecting the energy between the hands with the energy in the center of the head. And again, inhaling and expanding. Exhaling, contracting. I trust. One more time. And then pausing in front of the head center, acknowledging the connection, and again, when it feels natural and appropriate, allowing the hands to gently just float down. Pausing in this in-between point to check in, feel the energy, relax the body, notice the breath. Check and see if you still have that slight grin on your face. And release. If you need to move around, let the feet release some tension. How are your hands now? Yeah. Good. So people that do healing work, other kinds of healing work, this is a great set of exercises to do before that as well. It generates a lot of energy. Okay. The next exercise is called circulating the field. I also call it connecting the dots. What we're going to be doing is, the conceptual part of this is connecting those three energy centers. The phrase that I use with this, that I say internally is, I am integrated and whole. And so again, we're connecting from the earth up through that center line of the body, connecting all three energy centers up into the heavens, and then extending that energy down around the body. So find your basic stance. And we're going to draw the hands up the center line, backs of the hands together, connecting the dots, moving up the energy, up through the crown of the head, and then out and around. You might raise up slightly as you come up, so the knees straighten just a little bit, and then as you come down, sinking. And the phrase again is, I am integrated and whole. One more time this direction. Let the hands come to the side and rest for just a moment. And then we're going to reverse. So coming up around the outside, backs of the hands together down the center line. See how this feels different. I am integrated and whole. Two more. Good, and as you come down from that last repetition, just allow the hands to gently and naturally come to the sides of the body. Pause and check in. and we'll go straight into the next exercise, which is called Breathing the Matrix. And what this is about sharing the energy that we've just created. We've been developing this healing positive energy in ourselves, but what we know, of course, is that I don't exist by myself in this little body. That's an illusion. We're all connected. Our energies are connected right now, and we're connected to everything around us, to the energy of nature and the heavens and the earth. And so in this exercise, we're going to be very intentional about sharing that energy, extending it out from us, and then bringing it back in. So in this exercise, we're going to find our basic stance again. We're going to coordinate the movements with our breathing so that as we inhale, we're going to open up the chest, open up the hips, open everything, extending the energy out of our body and sharing it with the universe. And then exhaling, bringing it in. The hands are in lightly clenched fists. Everything closes. Inhaling, opening. And exhaling, bringing it in. Feel the energy moving in and out of the body. Allow the body to be porous and open, sharing. Inhale, palms open. Exhale, lightly closed fists. And one more time. And then allow the hands to float to the sides. Pause and check in. Release if you need to move the feet for just a moment. We have one more exercise. So we've cleansed, we've built, we've grown, we've integrated, we've shared. And so at the end, we need to close it and bring it all in, kind of seal the energy within ourselves. It's good to share, and it's good to have boundaries. So at the end, we're going to be bringing it in and closing it and sort of sealing the energy in for ourselves, for our healing and for our benefit. Okay? So for this last exercise, find your basic stance again. And this will look a little bit similar to what we did at the beginning in the opening. Hands are going to come out, palms down. So tuning in, again, to the energy of the earth, allowing it to move up through the body, but this is more of an acknowledgement, an opportunity to be appreciative, to be thankful for the healing energies that have been shared with us. And slowly rotate the palms, facing the heavens, and again, connecting with the energy of the heavens and being thankful and grateful and appreciative for that energy that was shared with us. And now bringing that energy in, one hand over the other, into the navel center. Bringing it in and just pausing and holding it there for a minute. Can you be receptive and feel the energy move in and lock into that navel center? Let the hands float down for a moment. And now gathering and bringing it into the heart center, one hand over the other. allowing the hands to float down. And finally gathering, bringing it in to the head center, one hand over the other. And allow the hands to float down. Pause just a moment. And now I would invite you all to just have a seat for a moment, sit down in a chair, or sit on the ground if that's comfortable, and just take a moment to allow the energies to settle. Let the mind be quiet. Keep the breathing soft and relaxed. Continue to release any tension in the body. Breathing very gently and softly, trusting that the energy that was just moved through the body will go wherever it needs to go. You don't have to do anything. Allowing the energy. Taking 2 or 3 final breaths, long, deep, slow breaths, focusing on the exhalation. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Begin by establishing your basic stance, sinking the energy into the ground. Raise the palms, connecting with the energy of the earth, allowing the energy of the earth to rise up as if steam rising from the ground. Feel the energy move in through the bottoms of the feet and the palms of the hand, filling the body with a sense of groundedness and balance. Turn the palms of the hands, connecting with the energy of the heavens. Tune into the energy of the heavens raining down over the body, through the crown of the head, and into the palms of the hands, filling the body with a sense of connection to something greater. Bring the hands to face the heart center in a hug the tree position. Keep the elbows down, stay relaxed. Noticing the connection of the earth energy rising up, the heavenly energy moving down, and the blending of the two in the heart center. Allow the arms to float down to the sides of the body, pausing, using this as a moment to check in, being mindful of the impact of that opening exercise. Moving into cleansing of the navel center, bringing the hands up, pushing out any toxic or stale energy that may be leftover residue from previous hurts. Sending the energy down out of the navel center, through the feet, through the legs. Releasing any physical tension in the abdomen, the intestines, sinking it deep into the earth for healing. And then bringing the hands up over the heart center, connecting with the heart, removing any toxic or stale energy through the body, down through the feet, deep into the earth. Releasing any tension in the chest, in the lungs, in the heart, letting go of any constrictions or restrictions. Allowing the heart to be open to receive. And then bringing the hands up overhead, tuning in to the head center, dropping the energy, sinking it past the heart center, past the navel center, down through the legs, down through the feet, deep into the earth. Removing any toxic or stale energy, removing tension in the face, in the head, the scalp. Relaxing the brain, shifting any stale energy down past the heart, past the navel center, deep into the earth to be recycled. And pause, tuning in to the mind, body, and breath. Preparing for the next exercise. Planting the seeds. Gather the energy and bring it into the navel center with the affirmations, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. Feel the energy moving into the navel center. Pause at the end, tuning into the feeling of safety. And now gathering healing energy to bring into the heart center with the affirmation, I am loved. I am loved. Feeling the energy of love and compassion moving into the heart. Pause just for a moment. And then gathering the healing energy into the head center. Using the affirmation, I trust. I am connected to something greater. I listen to my inner wisdom. Feeling the energy sink deep into the head center. And allowing the hands to float down to the sides. Pausing, tuning in, noticing the impact of that exercise. And now growing, bringing the hands up, palms facing each other in front of the navel center, connecting the energy between the hands with the navel center, And with each inhalation, we're going to expand the hands, expanding the energy, and then exhaling, bringing the energy in, contracting. Inhaling open, exhaling, contraction. Moving the energy past the body, expanding it as large as possible, and then bringing it in, exercising the energy. Pause for a moment, and when it feels right, bring the hands up in front of the heart center. Connect with the heart center and inhale, expand. Exhale, contract, growing the energy of the heart and the feeling of connection with others, the feeling of love and compassion, expanding it and growing it, and then bringing it back in. Pausing, and when it feels right, allowing the hands to gently float up to the head center. Connect with the head center, and then inhale, expand. Exhale, contract. Inhale, expand, growing the energy of the head center, connecting to our sense of intuition, trusting in the universe. Feel the expansion and the growth. Pause for a moment at the head center and allow the hands to float down to the sides. Pause for a moment and check in. Relax the body and bring the hands up the center line and around down the outside. Connecting the dots, connecting the 3 energy centers and allowing the energy to move out through the crown of the head around the body. Feeling that line of energy. I am integrated and whole. And then reverse. Around the outside, down the center line. I am integrated and whole. Feel the connection with the earth and with the heavens. I am integrated and whole. And after the last repetition, allow the hands to come to the side and pause again, noticing the impact of that exercise, feeling the integration. And now preparing to share our energy with the rest of the universe, expanding, contracting, inhaling, opening out, sharing our energy with the universe, exhaling, bringing it back into ourselves. The body is porous and open. The energy moves freely. I am one with nature. The hands come to the side. Pause again briefly. And prepare for the closing. The hands will float up, palms down, reconnecting to the earth. Being grateful and appreciative to the earth energy that was shared during this experience. Rotating the palms, connecting to the heavens. Being grateful and appreciative to the energy of the heavens that was shared and used during this practice. Thank you. Bringing the energy in, first to the navel center, one hand over the other. Bring in the healing energy. Keep the centers receptive. Feel the connection. Gather the energy, bring it into the heart. Sync the energy. Closing the exercise. And one more time to the head center, gathering the energy, bringing it into the head center, one hand over the other. hands float down and come to the side. Pause for a moment to take in the benefits of this healing exercise. Notice any changes from how you felt at the beginning.